हाऊ आर यू सर?
आय एम फाईन. खूप दिवसानंतर भेट झाली आज.
येस येस, ऑफलाईन झाली होती, आता ऑनलाईन झाली भेट.
प्लीज गो हेड. सॉरी
Yes,
सॉरी
yes,
टू
sir.
डिस्टर्ब.
Gaurav, you can start the banner and the university song.
ओके सर.
ये अंडरटेकिंग वाले में डेट सबके डालने हैं.
University song.
ओके सर.
ये अंडरटेकिंग वाले में डेट सबके डालने हैं.
गीत आमुचे आकाशाचे,
ये अंडरटेकिंग वाले में
गीत आमुचे सागराचे, इतिहासाचे जनावनाचे, गीत आमुचे जागराचे, गीत आमुचे आकाशाचे, गीत आमुचे जनावनाचे, गीत आमुचे.
गीत आमुचे आकाशाचे,
गीत आमुचे सागराचे, इतिहासाचे जनावनाचे, गीत आमुचे जागराचे, गीत आमुचे आकाशाचे, गीत आमुचे सागराचे, इतिहासाचे जनावनाचे, गीत आमुचे जागराचे.
अभंगाचे ओवीचेही माय बोलीचे माहेर,
वाऱ्यातही मराठीचे दिवे लख घरोघर, संत महंतांचे विरागी, गीत आमुचे कागडाचे, इतिहासाचे जनावनाचे, गीत आमुचे जागराचे. तंतु तंतु संघर्षाचा पैठणीत भिनलेला,
नक्षीतच पक्षी पक्षी विजयाचा मिळलेला,
सोन पहाट उदयाचे, गीत आमुचे उजेडाचे, इतिहासाचे जनावनाचे, घटनेचा सूर्य नवा शब्द शब्द उजळून गेला समतेचा संग्रहाचा अर्थ ढाळून गेला विराट विशाल संस्कृतीचे गीत आमुचे जीवनाचे इतिहासाचे जनामनाचे गीत आमुचे जागराचे गीत आमुचे आकाशाचे गीत आमुचे सागराचे इतिहासाचे जनामनाचे गीत आमुचे जागराचे
Thank you, Goro. You can stop the university song. So, on behalf of UGC Malviya Mission Teachers Training Center, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Marathwada University, Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar, I welcome our today's guest, Honorable Professor Bhushan Choudhary sir from KBC North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon. Also, I welcome our course coordinator, my university colleague, Dr. Praveena Pawar ma'am. She is heading Department of Physics of our university, and the entire selected participants for this short-term course in renewable energy and green economics. This is a 6 working days short-term course which will be organized through this Zoom platform by this Malviya Mission Teachers Training Center. So the course coordinator of this short-term course, Dr. Praveena Sanjay Pawar ma'am, currently heading Department of Physics of our university. Her academic qualification is MSc, B.Ed, PhD with nuclear physics as a specialization. She has a vast teaching experience of 23 years. She has also achieved the position of top 2% scientist worldwide, list joint published by Stanford University and elsewhere for the year 2021-22, 22-23, 23-24, and the last year 24-25 also. She is currently working on nanomaterial as a nuclear medicine used for cancer treatment, radiation therapy. Also, gamma ray interaction study of nanomaterial, developing various materials for gamma ray and fast neutron. Also, she has completed 2 research projects for which she has received funding from BRNC and UGC. Also, she has published more than 100 research papers in well-reputed national and international journal, and she has actively participated in paper presentation in around 150 conferences. Her total citation are more than 3,000, and her H index is 27 and I-10 index is 46. Under her able supervision, she has successfully guided 15 students, and currently 5 students are working. So I would now request Professor Praveena Pawar ma'am to give us the 6 days planning to all of us. Over to you, ma'am.
सर मैम ज्वाइन हो चुकी है इसमें HRDC 1 2 3 बोल के है इसमें ये देखो मैम माइक अनम्यूट करा प्लीज
So by the time, madam, I think madam got disconnected. I would request Dr. Ganesh to give a brief introduction of Dr. Bhushan Choudhary, sir.
Okay, sir. I am audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible, Ganesh. You can start.
Okay. Good morning to one and all. First of all, Thank you for STC giving me to introduce to today's resource person. Professor Dr. Bhushan Choudhary, sir, Director, School of Life Sciences, Choudhary, Bahinabai Choudhary, North Maharashtra University. Dr. Bhushan Choudhary, sir, is having Director of School of Life Sciences and Head Department of Microbiology, KBC, North Maharashtra University. He has received the DAD Fellowships of Germany, JSTS Postdoctoral Fellowship Japan, and JSTS Wright Fellowship Japan. He also worked in the University of Albany in Hurstville, USA. Professionally, he worked in Lupin Chemicals, Tarapur, and Navin Process Systems, Pune. His research area is microbial biotechnology and work on 12 research projects with around 2 crores. He has published more than 16 Scopus Index papers with well-known reputed journals, with having 1,600 citations and has filed 5 patents. He has guided more than 15 PhD doctoral students and having 2 MPhil students. Presently, he is instrumental in providing consultancy to many multinational and local industries. He was member secretary of IPR cell of university and is coordinator of the Innovation and Incubation Facility Center granted by National Research Development Corporation, New Delhi. Uh, he was director in charge innovation and incubation linkages of Savitri Bahinabai Choudhary National North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon, and also the director of Incubation Center KCIL of KBC NM University, Jalgaon. He was chairman of Board of Studies in Life Sciences, Microbiology, Biotech, and Biochemistry. He is honored as Fellow of Maharashtra Academy of Sciences in 2016. He received a Commendation Award from Startup India, Ministry of Commerce, Government of India for establishing innovation ecosystem, small cities. This is the not was least resume of today's resource person which are available for this program. Lastly, thank you for giving me the opportunity to introduce the today's resource person for this session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ganesh. Now I would request Dr. Praveena Pawar ma'am to brief out the entire 6 days working for all of us.
Okay, thank you, Rafi sir. And good morning to all participants and Bhushan Choudhary sir. Thank you. I am the coordinator of this short-term course of renewable energy applications for green economics. And the schedule of this short-term course, we are going to plan 6 days program from Monday, that is 19 to 24th January. And we are having 2 sessions, morning sessions, 11 to 12:30 first lecture and 12:30 to 2 o'clock second lecture in morning session. And for afternoon session, 3 to 6 o'clock. So first day today, first lecture is 12:30 by Bhushan Choudhary sir, and then in afternoon session, uh, Dr. Vijendra Choudhary, he will conduct the lecture from 3 to 4:30, and after that in 4:30 to 6 p.m. Madhav Mule sir is going to engage this lecture. And then tomorrow, uh, Professor H.J. Pant, former scientist, Bhabha Atomic Research Center, Mumbai, he will engage the 2 lectures, 11 to 12:30 and 12:30 to 2 p.m. And then the afternoon session, Professor Bharat Bhanuse sir, he will engage the 2 lectures. He is the then in Wednesday, Bhaskar Sathe sir, Professor, Department of Chemistry, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Marathwada University, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar. He is having 2 lectures from 11 to 12:30 and 12:30 to 2 p.m. And then in afternoon session, it is MOOC course. In Thursday, Professor J. Narayanan having 2 lectures 11 to 2 o'clock. And in afternoon session, Professor Yusuf Sheikh, Shivaji College, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, he is having 2 lectures. And in Friday, Professor N. Nandini is having 2 lectures from 11 to 2 o'clock. And in afternoon session, Professor Ramphal Sharma, Professor and Director, Department of Physics, he is having 1 lecture that is from 3 to 4:30. And then the last lecture is Professor J. Kulkarni, Professor of Usmanabad Sub-Center, Biotechnology. And in last day, Saturday, Professor C.S. Mahajan, retired Professor J.S. College, Jalna, he is having 2 lectures in morning session, and in afternoon session, Professor G.B. Kulkarni, Professor J.S. College, Jalna, he is having 1 lecture. And the last session is for validity function. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So, not taking much of time as due to some personal reasons, Professor Dhanashri Mahajan ma'am has not joined our cloud meeting. So, not taking much of time between the resource person and the our participants, I would now hand over this session to Professor Bhushan Choudhary, sir. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Good morning, Professor Rafe,
Good morning, sir.
Sir Pravina Pawar, and dear participants, or rather to say fellow colleagues. I'm very happy to inaugurate this program as such. I welcome all the participants and also thank all the participants for taking part into this program, which is in need of time. I could understand and recognize your contribution in shaping the future of the students. You are bestowed upon a very important responsibility of shaping our not only the students but the society also. At this moment, I could quote that the purpose of such kind of short-term training program is to understand the newer methodologies which are being developed, where exactly the world is moving. We need to understand the trend and accordingly bend our motto or bend our direction and blend the modern techniques and all those things in our curricula. The another hidden aspect of this, I suppose, that could be the digital literacy. Many of the times people were saying that I'm not aware of the computers, I'm not aware of this online meetings or so. But thanks to Corona, of course, Corona has given big setback. But this is one of the positive points that people have come up on these platforms, like online platform on the computers and so, which has made the life very easy and comfortable without investing much of the time and energy in traveling and so. Of course, why such programs should be held, we did discuss about to come up with the newer methodologies, grasp it and so, but to understand the challenges also. Because the world is on such a moment now that the situation has become worse. There are several challenges. And what are those challenges? We need to understand owing to the recent advances or the talks which are displayed or discussed through the talks of various scientists or teachers over here who are well aware of the situation and so. I'm sure that this course will inspire and motivate you and align yourself with the changing trends and so. At this outset, I wish all the best to you and will soon join our talk and I will update you what is the need of time and how should it be kept up. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, you can continue the lecture.
Maybe we'll have some 10-15 minutes break and then I can start.
No issue, sir. We can take a break of 10 minutes.
Yeah.
At
Exactly 11:45 we'll start.
yeah. That will do.
So in between, I will complete some of the works which are pending. Okay.
No issue, sir.
Yeah.
No issue.
Thank you.
Take your own time. So, on behalf of UGC Malviya Mission Teachers Training Center, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Marathwada University, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, my special thanks to Professor Bhushan Choudhary sir for sparing his valuable time as a chief guest for this inaugural session and setting the tone of this event through his inaugural address. So, with the permission of the course coordinator, I declare that this inaugural session is over. And for Dr. Bhushan Chaudhary's technical session, after a 15 minutes break, all of us we will gather here for his technical session. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir.
तिकडे कसं माझ्या महत्वाचं लेक्चर पण चालू आहे मला ती पीपीटी पण बनवायची आहे
ए जाऊ का मी फक्त पान आणायचे ना मिळते.
टेस्ट असतील बघा हळद कुकर लागते त्या प्रमाणात
तेवढं ना
पडणार आहे
ते जिथे वाटतंय सांगायचंय बनवणारा सांगायचंय.
बाकी एवढी फाईल असते बघा त्याला माझ्याकडे दाखवलं
काम जातो
मग आता हे असं होतं की जॉबचा प्रश्न होता ना, मॅनेजच होईना ना तेवढी अमाऊंट ठेवले. मम्मीचं सुद्धा ठेवले किंवा थोडी, पण मम्मीचं मी सगळं घेतलं नाही म्हणून.
बांधायचं प्लॅन ठरला त्यावेळेला आपल्याला नाही विचार बरोबर तर तरी बांधायचं प्लॅन ठरला विचारला आपल्याला की तुम्हाला ज्या वेळेला मदत हवी असेल त्यावेळेला तुम्ही विचारता त्या टायमाला आम्हाला आमचं मत विचारत घेत नाही माझं काय मत विचारता भले तुम्ही आमचं ऐकू नका कमीत कमी आम्हाला मत मांडायचं तरी अधिकार द्या ना जर आमच्या आयुष्यात आम्ही एवढं वर्ष देतोय कमीत कमी त्यांनी सिनियर फॅकल्टीला तुम्हाला तरी विचारलं पाहिजे होतं आमचं आम्ही असं आहे ना सर ते संस्था चालक आहे त्यांनी त्यांच्या मीटिंग मध्ये निर्णय घ्यायचे असतात त्यांच्या काही गाव तसं नाही ना सर
आपल्या पण काही अडचण नाही आपल्या अडचण का
अहो ते 1-1.5 वर्ष आला आपण जेव्हा वॉशरूम मध्ये इथं जातोय ना त्याचं ते डबडं तुटलं होतं पाणी त्याला फ्लश करायला नव्हतं
आणि आताची परिस्थिती काय त्याच्यामध्ये विकास करणार तो आपल्याला प्रॉब्लेम आहे ना मागच्या वेळेला सगळं
आता कधी याच्यावर पण येस म्हणणार आहे का मला द्यायच्या
हॅलो
म्हणजे आता डॉक्युमेंट तयार होणार नाही माझ्या उदाहरण ठरलं तुमचं नाही द्यायचं तर 2 पगार देणार उदाहरण दिलं आज तुम्ही आता 100% नाही दिलं मी 2 पगार देणार चला 100% फक्त जर का एखाद्यांची
केशव बोरकर सर तुमचा व्हॉइस ऑन आहे बंद करा बोरकर सर
हॅलो सर, आवाज येतोय?
Yes, we are audible, sir.
येस सर. ओके.
सुरू झालं.
अजून एक 2-3 टॉपिक. लास्ट क्वेश्चन झाले. क्वेश्चन कशाने डिवाइडेड केलं? युने. काय केलं? युने. या इक्वेशनला कशाने डिवाइडेड केलं? इथं पण मी घेतली u1. इथं काय घेतली? आणि मी कॅन्सल झाला आणि मी कॅन्सल. बरोबर. इथं आपण काय केलं? u1 केला. इथं u1 त्यामुळे कॅन्सल झाला काय होतं? बरोबर. काय केलं इथं? डिवाइडेड बाय मी. इथं काय केलं मग? 1 upon u minus 1 upon.
माइक म्यूट कराओ सर प्लीज.
प्रपोजल
हॅलो. प्रवीणा मॅडम. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So shall we
Yes,
start?
sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So maybe can you please tell me the background of the participants? Are they from science background or mix, or what kind of background do they have? And location also?
Mix, sir.
Mix. Okay. And what about location? I mean to say, are they from only this Maharashtra or outside universities in Maharashtra? Outside Maharashtra universities?
सर जास्त करून महाराष्ट्रामधले आहे.
बाहेरचे आहेत पण काही. Am I right?
सर दोन्ही लँग्वेजचा वापर करा.
Okay,
इंग्रजी,
ठीक आहे.
हिंदी, मराठी शक्य
That's
असेल.
fine. I will try to make it more simple and understandable. And since the people are from diverse background, okay. So shall we start, or is there anybody from HRDC or Mr. Dr. Pawar or doesn't seem so. Hello. Hello.
Yes,
बोला
sir.
सर, बोला सर. Yes.
Yeah, shall we start? Is there somebody from the organizer side?
No.
Never mind. So, good noon. Sorry for being late, but the time was actually, it was scheduled at 12 or so. Never mind. We'll start it. I shall be speaking on bioresources for renewable energy sources. The topic is something very not comprehensible as such, I suppose, unless I tell you some of the facts about the energy and so. Is it audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Audible.
Please, in between, if I ask, please give me the response so as I'm not cut off from the audience or so. There might be, due to the energy crisis only, there could be the cut off in the power as well as internet also. There is a possibility. Please bear with me. And
Okay,
I'm
sir.
going to talk on the energy sources and so. That's a contrast, I suppose. So there are few questions. How much is the load of human being on the earth? Why do we need energy? How much is the need of energy? What are the sources of it? Why to seek biological sources? Which is more lasting? Which energy source is more lasting? And what is sustained use of resources of energy? And the last, what is our role at this juncture? I believe that everybody could have comprehended the questions or at least gone through some of the questions. And these questions could be answered through this talk. Am I right?
Yes.
Hello? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Great.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes.
look at this. Everything, whatever I'm stating, is having the scientific reference, evidence as an evidence. So, in one of the very interesting paper, or rather to say a blog of Lenfelder, one of the German scientists basically, who has put in his papers and so that how much is the load on this earth basically. If we see this is the plants basically gigatons, 450 gigatons, and out of that small fraction that is of animals, and in that small fraction of animals arthropods dominates. Arthropods, the insects, dominate, and amongst all these there is one again fraction livestock and human, and here is the human being which is really a very 0.06 gigaton only out of 450. So the human existence on this planet is really very small. if you compare with the plants, bacteria, fungi, arthropods, fishes, or livestock in nutshell. But still, we dominate this earth. Of course, owing to the brain and so. Have a look at this total biomass movement of land animals and birds. If you see this, this is a very interesting paper which was published in Nature. One of the scientist group from Israel, El Hasham, is the first author of this paper, and this Rhino lab that has published this paper. If you see the daily distance traveled, kilometers per day, this side and this side is annual distance per kilometer, kilometer per year. So if you see wild animals really at a very low level, we can say maybe few kilometers, maybe not more than 3 or 4 kilometers. Arthropods, very small insects, they also travel a lot. They also travel a lot, almost to the tune of 1 kilometer or less than 1 kilometer or so per day. While domestic animals travel a little bit more, wild birds, they travel almost to the tune of something like 25, more than 25 kilometers per day. But human being, if you see human being travels a lot. By and large, all human being cumulatively, it is something like about 30 kilometers per day. Of course, everybody may not travel, but those who travel, that is the average we can say. And this traveling is based on either walking, by the car or the vehicles, by plane or train. So, hello? Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
So there are ways and means to travel. Annual distance traveled is also huge, more than 10,000 kilometers per year per human being or so. So it is huge. I want to bring to your notice at this juncture that when somebody wants to travel, it requires energy. Even though he or she walks, it requires energy, and that has to be procured in the biological system, that has to be procured from the food. While if you are using some machines or so, like aeroplane, train, car, bus or so, it requires the fuel, which is the source of energy, maybe otherwise electricity. So that's a great thing that we have developed to travel a lot, but at the cost of energy, which is being used and which is available on this planet as such. Very interesting paper. I really like this paper. Human movement. Yes, here also it is stated humans dominate in the movement, which we already have seen it earlier. Every movement, it requires energy. How much is the energy required? That's huge. Biomass movement, if you see, generally the trains in India, goods train, the material which is transported, the weight of that material and the distance travel, that we generally put it as gross ton kilometer per year. That is how the payload of the trains that is calculated. Our Honorable Minister Ashwini Kumar, he used to speak in these terms, gross ton kilometer per year or so, when the transportation of the goods come. And here we can see over the period of time, this is 1850, and this is the present situation. If you see 1850, 10 raised to 2 or so, that much was the gigaton, gross ton kilometer per year. But now, over the period of time, in the present situation, it has got tremendously high, almost 3 into 10 raised to 3 or something like that. With the advent of the developments, with the advent of the machineries which are available, However, on the other hand, if you see here, the animals, especially it has been compared with the fishes. Earlier, they were traveling very high, but now it is decreasing. Their movement is 60% reduced, while human movement almost 4,000% it is increased. Undoubtedly, on the basis of energy. This requires energy. So you see, there are several things happening, several movements that requires energy. You see here 1.1 teratons that has been moved on this earth. That is the concrete, cement, sand, gravel or so. Then other side is bricks, asphalt, metals, and rest of the other materials and other aggregates, sand, gravel, and something like that. So 1.1 teratons, that is 1.1 into 10 raised to 12 ton, that has been moved on this earth, on this lithosphere, on this earth. So every moment, even if you wish to move 1 kilogram of material from one place to another place, it requires energy. This requires energy. Look at this, the material, what we talk, concrete, civil engineering material, this material, that material, cities, rural settlements, cities require more movement of the materials. Comparatively, rural background requires less. And so arable land also requires energy for the movement, especially plowing, for the movement of the materials, for the movement of the seeds, and so, or for the movement of agriculture practices, it requires energy. So, सब खेल किस चीज का है इस दुनिया में? That is energy. Look at this very interesting example. If somebody wants to get a 4 gram of gold, we know the cost of gold now. It has surged like anything. And the cost of gold is very high. Roll number 44, please don't. If you see this in the gold, just to get a small amount of gold, 4 grams of gold, you require very high quantity of the movement of the material. Look at this, almost 12,000 kilograms, 120 tons of the material. Sorry, that 12,000 kilograms, that much of the material or the sand, soil, rock, that has to be excavated, that has to be moved. 2,500 gram of ore rock, that has to be extracted further, and then you can get the 4 gram of gold. And there is a great greed towards the gold as a security of the finance or financial security as such, because it's a precious element. And everybody, especially in India, women store their money in terms of gold. And this gold can be obtained only through the investment of the energy. So this necessitates to think of energy. Look at this comparison of total.
इनको नहीं समझाओ.
Hello.
बाद में तो उन्होंने मालूम पड़ा वो सबसे ये प्रिंसिपल का भाई का बच्चा था बोले.
Please, participant, don't disturb.
So this is the comparison of anthropogenically altered lithosphere. How exactly the lithosphere, the biomass, not biomass, you can say the lithic biomass. It means the rocks, sand, and materials, soil, how does it get change of its place? So this basically is called as anthropogenic activity. Maybe how much energy by the humans. Look, In total, humanity consumed 14.6 gitajoules of energy. During the Holocene, during almost 8 gitajoules from 1670, 90, 50 alone, 280 years only, when we learned to do the things over here, especially with the scientific temperament. Since 1950, industrial revolution came into picture that postulated beginning of Anthropocene. Humanity has consumed unimaginable, that is 22 gitajoules of energy in the last 72 years, which is 1.5 times what humanity has consumed in 12,000 years. It means 12,000 साल में जितनी एनर्जी हमने कंज्यूम की, उतनी एनर्जी जस्ट 70 सालों में, पिछले 70 सालों में हमने कंज्यूम की है. That's beyond imagination. 1 gigajoule is equal to this many zeros on joule. Of course, here are some people from physics. They know what does it mean by joule. 100 gram of an apple, if you want to move it to 1 meter distance, the energy required, that is 1 joule. So that you can understand how much of the energy has been put into movement on this earth. If you see global energy consumption, what we discuss it here in the last 280 years and recent years, maybe here is only 100 years, we can say, how much is energy movement or consumption in the anthropogenic activities. Key activities, if we see, consuming energy, we can speculate it very easily. First and foremost, residential and domestic activities. Say, for example, heating, cooling through ACs, heaters, coolers, etc. Appliances like refrigerators, washing machine, dishwasher, microwaves, mixers, balances, fans, etc. Electronic equipments, computers, TVs, phone. In cooking, electric or gas stove, oven. These are activities, and one most important, that is the light in the residential area or the domestic activities, especially electricity bulbs, tubes, or LEDs. You require energy. Second, that is most important, lighting and electricity, illumination, we can say, residential lighting, commercial lighting, public infrastructure, street lights and security. You require electricity. Then transportation, for movement of the people and the goods, vehicles, personal cars, trucks, motorcycle, buses, etc. Public and mass transit, trains, subways and ships, as well as air travel, aircraft or drone, helicopter. You require energy. It could be in different forms. It could be electrical energy, it could be fossil fuel, but you require energy. Industrial and agricultural processes, manufacturing, especially machinery operations, assembly lines, material processing, etc. Agricultural practices like irrigation, water pumping, operation of tractors, operating tractors, we can say, mining, extraction of raw materials. Maybe I give the example of gold. For 4 grams of gold, you require to move 12,000 kilograms of the lithospheric material, maybe the soil or rocks. So these are the key activities which consume energy. One cannot say that, oh, I'm not working in the field of energy, or so that is not my research area or something like that. No, but we need to understand that we are the consumers who are consuming energy, and we must pay attention to this and work for its preservation, or rather to say minimizing the use of energy. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So these activities are far more important for the development of the human being. Maybe energy consumption is inherently coupled to the quality of life and population. Of course, our beloved country, India, is having the highest population across the globe. There are different reasons. So, for example, the weather is really conducive, very good weather, availability of water through different rivers and so. And that made various settlements in India easily, and it led to increase in the population. Maybe say, for example, another way, if we see the country like Russia or so, the population is really very small, owing to the discomfort in the environment. The temperature is below 0 degrees centigrade, so it is not convenient. And if you want to stay there, you need to use energy to heat and make your life accessible. Look at this. Renewable energy consumption, subjective well-being. So renewable energy, there are ways of energies which cannot be renewed, that could be called as fossil fuel. But renewable energy, it means that can be regenerated. And in that case, if we see subjective well-being, use of renewable energy, Canada stands number 1. Canada. While we are almost at the bottom. Of course, there are some other countries in between. This is renewable energy consumption per capita. Canada is consuming 30,000 energy units per capita, while it is extremely less, extremely less. On the other hand, look at this CO2 emissions per capita. This is the indication. This is the indication how exactly do you use energy. If you are using more energy, CO2 emission will be very high. But if you are using less energy, consequently or obviously, CO2 emission will be less. So you can see it here that how exactly is that. Yeah, these countries are releasing great CO2 while our country is not that emitting the CO2. So we are on a better way, I suppose. On the other hand, if we see further, GDP per capita, GDP, gross domestic productivity, Canada, Australia, USA, Germany, these are on the top. While India is almost at the bottom. This comparison is only among the G20 countries, while it is not, there are no African countries also. But we have to compare with good nations or rich nations, and that's why we are at the bottom. But we cannot say that, oh, we are doing the best. Scope, there is a great scope for us to improve our GDP. Energy consumption is inherently coupled to the quality of life and population growth. Look at this. Energy consumption, it is inherently coupled to with the quality of life. If you see this picture, this was a recent paper published in 2021 in a very important journal, Environmental Science Pollution Research International. And if you see what is the status of these green countries also? That is 7 to 8 or so, 6 to 7, some of the countries like Brazil or so, Argentina, and then China, Russia also 5 to 6, and below 5, that is India. So all people are not really happy because the quality of life is not at par or to the desired level. And सब खेल किस चीज का? तो it is energy. We can come to this conclusion. Look at this. There are no low energy and rich countries. So here it is electricity consumption per capita, kilowatt per hour. Kilowatt per hour. If you see Norway, the country that stands, or here is the Switzerland basically in the top, but Norway, UK, Ireland, Saudi Arabia, Japan, and so these countries are on the top in the GDP. This is GDP on the x-axis. On y-axis, it is electricity consumption. So those countries which are rich are having high GDP, undoubtedly, and their carbon emission is also high, owing to the fact that they consume high electricity. We are here in between the developed nations and underdeveloped nations. It means developing nation. So we have to cross this barrier. This red colored countries in this club, we are this side also and we are on that side also. But we have to jump from this to this side, and undoubtedly, if we want to increase our GDP, our electricity consumption will increase. Are we really able to comply the needs of the energy? That's the another question. The evidence, if you see, for this, these are the rich nations and these are the poor nations. What is the evidence? Productivity, profitability, job creation, and macroeconomic growth. These are the indicators, and that can stand as the evidence for this. Productivity, energy is a fundamental input to economic activity. If you have more productivity, your energy consumption will be more. If you don't have energy, how will the productivity will increase? In other words, आपके पास फैक्ट्री है, लेकिन फैक्ट्री में देने के लिए आपके पास इलेक्ट्रिसिटी नहीं है, दिन में 10 बार इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जा रही है. How will the factory will achieve the productivity? How will it produce the material? Profitability. It is the another indicator. Unless you have electricity, the company or any activity cannot be in profits. So increased cost of electricity will decrease the profit margin. Job creation, electricity shortages reduce the skilled jobs. And macroeconomic growth, investments in energy infrastructure affects GDP and human capital. आपके पास इलेक्ट्रिसिटी नहीं है, आपकी जो जनता है, that will not be skilled, that will not get more profit, they will not get good payments, and the productivity will be less. So the meaning of this slide, this is a very important work done by Todd Moss and Jacob Kinser, Energy for Growth Hub. Very interesting. In nutshell, if you see this slide, there are no low energy rich countries. So if your country is rich, energy consumption will always be high. So the salience at this moment, a low energy future is a jobless future. Please understand this. So जिसके पास इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बहुत ज्यादा है, वही देश अपनी प्रगति कर सकता है, नहीं तो नहीं. Because we already have seen in the previous slides that every moment you require energy for the developmental work. And developmental work, it means movement of the materials, change of the fate of the material. Look at this international energy. What is the status? IEA, International Energy Agency. So what is the status of that? Global demand has grown by 60% since 2000. So in the last 25 years, only last 25 years, this demand of energy is increased by 60%, with all the increase coming from emerging and developing economies. जो देश प्रगति कर रहे हैं उनको बहुत जरूरी है कि they need to have energy reservoirs. They need to have energy. Then only it is possible. Look at this. China in last 25 years have developed like anything. Great development in China. So their requirement of energy is very high. Second, our requirement of energy is comparatively almost 1/4 or lesser than that of China. Then other countries together. Then here is USA. Then European Union and other advanced economies.
Please, participants, please unmute.
So if you see, what are the sources of this energy? The topic is very critical. I may not be able to do the full justice, but I'm trying to give you as much as possible what is the status and what do we need at this juncture. See, coal, oil, natural gas, nuclear energy, renewables, traditional use of biomass, and so this is what is being used as the source of energy in different countries or across the globe. Look at this. Domestic energy production. I already have told that our requirement of energy, even in the last 25 years, our increase in the energy requirement is comparatively 1/4 or 1/5 of China. Maybe half of that of USA or almost half of that European Union. And we are developing. We have to develop. We want to develop all kind of by all means, infrastructure. That is one of the important priority. Agricultural sector, industrialization, every activity, it requires energy. Look at this, domestic energy production in India. If you see, more than 50% of the energy or the electricity, basically, it is produced using the coal. So we have to reduce this dependency on coal, because coal एक दिन खत्म हो जाएगा, कोयला खत्म हो जाएगा, आज नहीं तो कल, maybe in next 30 years it will be vanished. उसके बाद क्या करोगे? So here is, since 2000 to 2023, the data is available, and you can see here the coal and coal products stands number 1. Of course, we don't have much of the coal, so we are importing it from other countries. Then oil and oil products. Almost 240 lakh TJ. That much is the unit of that which we are really requiring the energy or something like that. Especially that could be achieved from coal. Then oil we have been importing, and the point to ponder here, यहाँ पे ध्यान देना बहुत जरूरी है कि domestic energy production, we are using some biofuels and waste materials also. Very important data actually. International Energy Agency, it has created. Of course, on the statistics which is given by the government. There are some other materials also, nuclear energy, hydropower energy. If we compare hydropower energy, it's very, very less. Or nuclear, even it is also more than that of hydropower energy, but it is comparatively less if we compare it with the coal and coal products. The next slide, it is C. This is the International Energy Agency, which monitors the use of energy.
आम्हालाच कळा ना काय भानगड आहे आमच्याकडे.
So this independent agency is very important, which is keeping an eye on the energy transactions across the globe. You see, India and energy, total energy supply, we meet 46% from the coal and coal products, 24% from oil and oil products, and biofuels and waste 19.5. We have seen this about the production. Coal stands number 1, and then biofuels and waste material. Then electricity. For electricity generation, most of the sources which are used are basically coal, then some oil and some other materials. Solar panels also are being used to certain extent now, thanks to the government's schemes which promote solar panels for the energy harvesting. That is one of the most exciting and one of the most sustainable way of doing that. But unfortunately, the materials which are required for its harvesting of the energy, that we have to be dependent on some other countries like China, because it requires some rare earth materials which we need to obtain it from other countries. Then it is total energy mix, basically total final consumption. If you see electricity production and all together, coal and coal products 17%, oil products, it also includes the transportation 30%, natural gas 6%, electricity 9.1, and biofuels by and large 25%. So we are talking, or we are thinking of the biological materials or bioresources for generation of energy. It is very important to understand how much is the requirement of the energy also. I have some films to show you which are, yes, here I would like to show.
ही फक्त एकच आहे.
दाखव इथं कोणती नाही आली. हे बुकची आली नाही, हे बुक नाही
ही वाली
दिली नाही.
नाही ना. पाठ उत्तर दे.
So with this, we can understand that the development which is happening is on the basis of exclusively on the basis of energy source. There is one more video I would like to show. Please have a look at that. AI.
संतोष भाऊ केंद्रे साहेब यांचं या ठिकाणी आगमन झालेलं आहे.
Nature, it could be as much as 1/5. Electricity grids are already under strain in many places, and we estimate that around 20% of planned data center projects could be at risk of delays.
So, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you have seen the video, small video of 2 minutes or so. Now there is a boom of AI. Of course, India is one of the main consumer of AI. So many people are affiliated to that and doing their work on AI and immediately doing on some mobile phones, computers, and getting the things done. Of course, nothing is free. We have to pay for that. And already it is stated in the video that the whole country of Japan, the power which is required to them is required to run the data centers across the globe. And out of that, 50% of the data centers are only in USA, where extremely high energy is required. And for that energy, since we are using our internet and setting up our data using the AI, and so we have to pay for that invariably. So at this juncture, sustainable energy sources are very important and needs to be tapped. Sustainable energy sources, especially, it consists this what do you say, solar, then wind energy, hydro energy, geothermal, and one important which may last for long and which is renewable, that is biomass. It is inexhaustible fuel, reduced pollution, and greenhouse gases emissions is less, energy independence, and creating the jobs. If we see solar energy or photovoltaic, photovoltaic and thermal, there are pros and cons. It is abundant, low operating cost, zero emission during operation, and flexible installation on roofs and fields, but it works during the day. It doesn't work in the night. When there are clouds, it doesn't work. It requires storage. It cannot be stored as such, or it needs to be used continuously. High upfront cost. So you need to pay more money for harvesting the solar energy through the panels. Manufacturing and disposal impacts will be there. At this moment, there are no panels which are in the garbage, but when it will come into picture, it will be problematic. Wind energy, it is clean, low operating cost, but land is used. Good for large scale production, but intermittent. Consistent wind is not available. It creates noise and can harm the birds. Transmission challenges, and it is site specific. On the other hand, if we see the hydropower through the dams and runoff rivers, it is reliable, consistent. It can control the flood and it can help irrigation, but initial cost is very high. Local ecosystem gets damaged. The local ecosystem damage is unbearable. One cannot really imagine how much is the damage to the local ecosystem. There is a fish migration, habitats are getting disturbed and displacement. Another way, that is a geothermal energy. It is consistent 24/7. Small land footprints are there and low emissions, but it is geographically limited to volcanic or hotspot areas. It is not everywhere. Potential release of underground gases is possible and drilling cost is very high. The another one, important biomass energy, which is the pivotal point, which is really renewable. It utilizes the waste. Renewable if managed sustainably and can provide consistent power. But there are bad patches also there. Can compete with the food crops. Air pollution, when burnt, CO2 will be released upon burning, and land and water use is observed. So whatever is there, there are pros, means the benefits, as well as the losses or the disadvantages of that. In general, renewables, climate change mitigation is observed, improved air quality, energy security, long-term cost saving, job growth. However, the problems with this sustainable energy or renewable energy is that high upfront investment, intermittency, storage needs, and geographic constraints. Transmission upgrades are required for that, and some manufacturing impacts are there. So this is what is the picture of sustainable energy sources. If we think of bioresources and biomass, what exactly is called as biomass? If you see, it is the biomass consists of all organic matter existing in or on the biosphere, originating from plants, animals, algae through the process of photosynthesis. It plays a role in energy transaction. It is considered a zero carbon renewable electricity source because CO2 is absorbed. Because if there are plants which you are trying to grow, it will consume CO2, it will release oxygen and purify the air. That's the beauty of this bio resources or biological material, especially if it is plant. Global share, if we see, biomass currently accounts only 14% of total energy consumption across the globe. Very small amount, because there are other sources, easily available sources, makes it difficult to utilize the bioresources efficiently. Of course, there is sustainability. Shifting the globe economy to a framework focused on bioenergy is essential for reducing the dependence on fossil fuels and mitigate the climate change. It means when you are using the fossil fuels like petrol, diesel or so, it is going to be exhausted very soon. In next 30, 50 years or so, maximum year validity is 80 years. After 80 years, completely this fossil fuels or the petroleum products will be exhausted. From where to bring the energy? That will be the question now. However, there is a global potential and availability of this biological resources. The worldwide potential of biomass is estimated between 200 to 500 exajoule of energy per year. Of course, the quantity is very big, 200 to 500 exajoule, but to harvest that is very difficult task. Again, to harvest that energy through the biomass, we need to invest through energy to harvest that energy. So, सब खेल किस चीज का? तो that is energy. Urja. Common sources of biological material, that is agricultural waste like sugarcane, bagasse, rice husk, corn stalk, or even wheat straw. Then forest residues like sawdust, timber, bamboo and bark, municipal solid waste, household waste, paper, food scraps, etc., and livestock waste, animal manure, slurry or so. So these are the common biomass sources that can lead to the energy production. So agricultural waste, forest residue, municipal solid waste, and livestock waste. These are the very, very important sources that need to be converted into energy. So biofuel generation, if we see, of course, using the biological material, what we have seen, first generation biofuels that we are using the food crops such as corn, wheat, sugarcane and oil-based crops like rapeseed. So खाने के लिए कुछ नहीं है, और जो खाने के लिए इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं वो आप समझो इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं एनर्जी जनरेशन के लिए, अल्कोहल प्रोडक्शन के लिए, इट डजंट मेक एनी सेंस. You cannot compromise with the edible materials for the generation of energy. So this first generation materials or biomass was scrapped and people landed up into second generation, that is non-edible feedstocks like lignocellulosic biomass that do not compete with the food production. But still, it was a bit difficult to work with, and hence third generation biofuels came into picture using microalgae, macroalgae, cyanobacteria, which grow rapidly and have higher photosynthetic efficiency than terrestrial plants. So, say for example, sugarcane, it takes some 4 months to grow. Algae can grow within a week or so. That's why, and that can be enormously grown without paying much attention. And that's why this third generation biofuels came into picture. But there were some disadvantages of using it. So, because the productivity was less, and hence the fourth generation of biofuels came into picture. And that speaks about genetic engineering of microorganisms, yeast, fungi, algae, or so, to increase the lipid biosynthesis, yield, and carbon fixation together. This is very important. These are the 4 important biofuel generations: first, second, third, and fourth. And we have seen it already. Which are the sources? Agricultural waste, forest residue, municipal waste, and livestock waste, especially the waste which is created from the animals, especially the cow dung or excreta of the chicken or so, that can be very well used. Another way of doing or harvesting energy is thermochemical conversion processes. Torrefaction is one of the process. A mild pyrolysis in oxygen-free environment that increases the energy density and hydrophobicity of biomass, making it similar to coal. We know biochar, that is one of the ways and means of that, torrefaction, but it's a mild pyrolysis and oxygen-free environment. In the normal course, if we try to do it without any technical support, it doesn't work well because oxygen-free environment is difficult to maintain. So generally, pyrolysis is the preferred method and generally adopted by the common people. Thermal decomposition in absence of oxygen to produce bio-oil, biochar, and pyrolytic gas. Then gasification. Biomass is subjected to extreme temperatures like 700 degrees centigrade with controlled oxidizing agents to produce syngas, synthesis gas. But it is a difficult method since 700 degrees centigrade is involved in that. Then hydrothermal liquefaction, HTL, it uses high pressure and hot water to convert wet biomass into biocrude. But this is not really that convenient method. Pyrolysis method is one of the largely adopted method. However, the calorific value obtained of this material is not to the extent desired, but it is widely accepted because it is easy to perform. The another way of doing this biochemical conversion or converting this biological material into energy source, that is fermentation process. Microorganisms like bacteria or yeast convert sugars from organic materials into bioethanol or biobutanol under anaerobic condition. Anaerobic digestion is the another method. a community of anaerobic microbes break down organic matter into biogas, primarily methane and some CO2. Biomethane, biogas can be upgraded into biomethane, which has chemical composition similar to natural gas. And this has high calorific value than biogas. And digested, the co-product of anaerobic digestion that could be utilized as nutrient-rich fertilizer in agriculture and reduce the dependency on the fertilizers. It means reducing the dependency on the energy, because fertilizer production requires huge energy. Am I audible? आवाज येतोय माझा?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's great. Global research and economic trend, if we see, so we have seen the materials and the processes, the biological materials and different processes which are adapted for the production of energy source. Of course, this requires energy, utilization of some energy. So what is the research trend? How do people compete with this? And what is the utility of this? We can see this. Across the globe, more than 200 countries, there are top 5 countries actually which have invested, or such kind of research is being done in these countries, and number 1 that stands is China. China has invested huge in biological materials to produce energy, because in simple words, biological material can be produced every year or after some intermittent period. Another is USA, another is India, Germany and UK, United Kingdom. If you see the economic drivers for this, interest in bioresources spiked significantly around 2008, owing to the rising oil prices. When the oil prices increased like anything, that time the people started working on bioresources. गरज ही शोधाची जननी आहे. That means when oil prices were dramatically increased, that time people paid attention towards the bioresources and looked it as the source of energy. Market growth, if you see, biofuel demand is expected to increase by 23%. So existing whatever is there, just in next 2 years or 3 years, it is going to increase by 23%, which is very, very, very high growth rate. With ethanol and renewable diesel leading to the growth. Government of India has already stated and already been action of adding ethanol into petroleum products, producing biodiesel and reduce our dependency on the Middle East or the petroleum products. So that much of the revenue can be saved. Another important aspect, job creation. Biomass utilization fosters or increases the economic growth by creating employment in cultivation, harvesting, and plant management. So that's the another important beauty of this biological materials. However, there are different challenges. Every time, bluntly, you cannot go for the biological materials for the production of energy, because there are problems associated with. The first and foremost, food versus fuel controversy. If you are using agricultural land for the materials for the energy, biological material to grow the biological materials for the purpose of energy, then you are compromising that land which could be made available for the food production. So it is not advisable at all to use the normal agricultural land for the fuel production or the energy production. Food is the priority and not the fuel. Second, technical obstacles. Lignocellulosic biomass requires complex pretreatments to break down lignin, which is one of the major constituent of the plants, dried materials or wood. So it is difficult to break down and produce fuel from that. This lignin is one of the most complex material which is naturally available on the earth. And that is why it is difficult to break down and produce different sugars and utilize it as the source of materials for the process of fermentation and then produce some ethanol or other materials, butanol. Environmental concerns are also very much involved in that. If not managed sustainably, large-scale biomass production could lead to deforestation, biodiversity loss, and water scarcity. So these are the problems or the consequences when we go for biomass for the energy production. Infrastructure, biofuels can be corrosive or volatile. Biofuels can be corrosive and volatile. It requires significant investment in specialized transportation and storage network. So these are in nutshell, these are the challenges towards the biological material to be used as energy source. If we see further publications on biomass as energy, we already have seen it that 2008 onwards, it really surged like anything. See, 2000, there were very few number of publication documents on biomass as energy, only 44 in 2000. But steadily it went on increasing, and here 2008 onwards, here it really increased, and at this moment 2021, not moment, but 2021, it could lead up to almost 900 research papers on biomass as energy. Of course, this include only Scopus-based papers. Scopus-based papers, it means having high impact of these papers basically. So this is very important and cognizable thing that people are paying attention. One of the hidden agenda of this talk, which I kept in my mind, is that if somebody is from the biological sciences in this group can think of doing some research on the biomass as energy, and you may get returns later, certainly. If you see biomass as energy related keywords, of course, at the center, it is biomass. But nearby, if you see, there are different words like biofuel, biofuels, then carbon dioxide, combustion, wood, waste utilization, carbon. Then this side is biogas, bioenergy, energy resource, renewable energy, economics, energy utilization, fossil fuels, and so. And this side, some biological material, ferment processes, basically fermentation, enzyme activity, metabolism, lignin, ethanol, and so. Hello. So this is a very interesting paper basically, which published in Sustainability, showing how these keywords are correlated with each other. And one can think of working on this. Relations in research on biomass as energy. If you see this, that is also interesting. How different countries are correlated with each other. At the epicenter, you can find it is USA, and second, perhaps more number of publications and more number of collaborations are with China. So first is China, second USA, then India, Germany, and UK. These countries are at the epicenter, and one of the important power which is coming up, that is Malaysia in this research. The another one, but it will take time, that is Brazil and Canada, Australia. These are also coming up in this field. So that is very important. How relations are being built up on the basis of biomass as the energy. Sorry, India, it should be India. If you see this, India in biomass energy research, I already told that there are 5 countries basically which are contributing to biomass as the energy source. And if you see, number 1 stands, that is China, and then comes India in terms of trends in the publication on biomass in last 22 years. So this is the recent development. Earlier, USA was dominant. However, China has surpassed USA, and USA is far behind than that of China. And then comes India. So this is a good sign for our country, but we can make it better than that of existing in 2021. So if we could undertake good research work on the biomass as energy source, we can beat the other countries and excel. Yeah, this is the publication, way of publication. These are the papers. These are some of the reviews, conferences, books, etc., which have been published on the biomass potential as a energy source and so. So what kind of biomass? We already have discussed it basically. So let us have a look at biomass. First and foremost, that is agricultural crops and residues, or in nutshell, we call it as agro residues. So once the product is harvested from the agricultural field, whatever is the waste material or remaining material, we cannot call it as waste, that can be utilized for the energy generation. Then food waste, huge amount of food is wasted, that can be collected and one can work on that. Then municipal solid waste. So this is the another aspect, municipal solid waste. Then industrial waste material. Then livestock manure, sludge, and forestry residues. So all these materials can be used through the different processes like biochemical conversion technologies or thermochemical conversion technologies by heating. And heat and electricity, biofuels, chemical products, biomaterials can be generated. And this can lead to the circular economy. It means nothing is wasted. Nothing is wasted from this. Earlier, people were burning this material, whatever was the remaining biomass, but now it can be used for the generation of the energy and you can earn more money. That can be called as circular economy as such. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's great.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Then next, if we see, we talk about first generation, second generation, and third generation, and fourth generation biofuels. So this picture states the same thing. This first generation material, sugar cane, corn, wheat, barley, rapeseed, soybean, that was being used, but hardly people use it because this compromises with the food materials. So that was the first generation, and hence use of another material, second generation, that came into picture. Then third generation, then fourth generation, which consists of some genetic engineering or so to produce the bioenergy. These are the overview of the biofuel production, torrefaction, pyrolysis, gasification, liquefaction, etc. to produce biochar, bio-oil, syngas, and other materials, that is biochemical processes, include fermentation process to produce bioethanol. Then anaerobic digestion, biogas, and biomethane. So these material, I'm sure that this is not really enough to comply the requirement of the electricity or the energy as such. But this can really support in the best possible way, in a circular way, keeping our economy high. Nothing is wasted and reducing the dependency on the Middle East or the oil-rich nations. Yeah, this is one important aspect about biomass, that biomass has to be pre-treated. Unless you pre-treat it, it cannot be converted into energy source also. There are ways and means. One is physical method, that is comminution, explosion, ultrasound, and microwave, and chemical method, acid, alkaline, oxidation, ionic liquid, organic solvent, and biological method, wherein fungi and bacteria can be used either independently or even together to convert it into the fuel. In anaerobic digestion, if we see, it is hydrolysis, acidogenesis, acetogenesis, and methanogenesis. These are the processes in nutshell. This anaerobic digestion process is used in the biogas production, which automatically occur by the use of different microorganisms in the chamber. Petroleum crisis boosted the biomass energy research, and we already have seen it to a certain extent. And this is again was published in Sustainability. Very interesting that here there was a surge in the research on the biomass production, and that led to the increase in the research on the biomass. So if we see the biomass and biofuels, the taxonomy of green energy, how exactly it is being done, what are the methods, and so I have tried to bring it into this way. Biomass, energy, and biofuels. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, that's great. So look at this. Biomass sources, one has to pay attention. Biofuel generations, convergent technologies, and global research trend has to be taken into consideration. So what is that first? Biomass sources. What are those? Agricultural waste, sugarcane, rice, corn store, wheat straw, etc. Forest residues, wood waste, bamboo, and so. Municipal and food waste, domestic waste, and algal biomass, microalgae, macroalgae, etc. Then if we see further, biofuel generations, first generation, second generation, third generation, and fourth generation. First generation, sugar, starch, oil base, that is obsolete now. Nobody goes for that as such for the production of this kind of thing for the fuels, because it compromises with food. Then second generation, lignocellulosic agro residues, and so third generation, algae and its oil, and fourth, GMOs or synthetic biology for the carbon fixation. Then comes convergent technologies, that is thermochemical, combustion, torrefaction, pyrolysis, gasification, and hydrothermal liquefaction. The second, biochemical methods, that is anaerobic digestion and fermentation. Then fourth, global research trends. We already have seen which countries are on the top or the leading countries in this area of biomass and biofuel, that is China, USA, India, and Germany. And next is UK. Then key concepts we need to keep in our mind what is important and why biomass and biofuel be paid attention. First and foremost, that is circular economy. Nothing is wasted. You can really gain profits upon using these materials. Second, sustainability. It is long lasting. Every time it can be rejuvenated and regenerated. It is carbon neutral. It doesn't emit carbon dioxide. Rather, it emits oxygen and purifies the environment, which is the need of time. And energy transition. Less energy is required to produce energy. That is important. However, there are challenges like food versus fuel controversy. Whether food is important or fuel, of course, everybody will vote to the food. Food is more important than fuel. Another important thing or the challenge, that is land use competition. Your arable or agricultural land is utilized. Then production costs, even though it achieves circular economy, even though it is carbon neutral, even though it gives jobs or so. However, there is a cost for the production. Nothing is free in this world. So that's the big question. But we have to address by sowing such kind of biomass or utilizing the lands which are useless or which are not in use, that not arable land that can be used for the production of biomass for the biofuels and so. That's the beauty of that. So in nutshell, these sustainability considerations are very important when you are thinking of biomass as a biofuel. Good or bad biomass has to be considered. One need not have to compete with the food. And another thing, it should not cause deforestation. Or otherwise, for the production of fuel, you are removing the forest and producing some alcohol using that woody material. That doesn't make any sense. It can harm the biodiversity. It goes for circular economy, utilizing the waste materials, which makes it more sustainable, reduce the pollution. Third generation biofuels are generally boosted nowadays because still the fourth generation biofuels have not come to the picture, especially through the economic considerations. It has not yet developed to bring profits. So third generation biofuels are very good, especially the algae or seaweeds, which can be grown in the oceans directly, and that can bring profits. There are key advantages of biological material as the renewable source for the biofuel. It is renewable, low carbon, it is versatile, and waste is reduced. That is very important. At this juncture, I would like to tell you this very important data about top energy patenting countries in the last 7 years, 2015 to 2022. China has filed almost 14,000 patents in energy sector, while second, Japan about 8,000, then USA about some 7,000, then Korea 5,000 patents, Germany around 3,000 patents, France about 2,000, and UK about 1,000 patents. And unfortunately, we don't have the data as such on the patents which have been filed. I mean to say cognizable data. We cannot find the patents to the tune of very high number as like these countries. So we are lagging behind, and there is an intense need to work or to do some research on the biological materials or the energy sector basically at large, and file patents to protect our intellectual property. At this moment, this slide shows government has given very interesting act it has brought, that is the Shanti Act, sustainable harvesting and advancement of nuclear energy for transforming India. It was a Shanti Bill in 2025, which has become now the Act. There are key provisions, especially this is exclusively related to nuclear energy. Of course, there are challenges of availability of the nuclear material, radioactive material for our country, but still government has taken some steps to overcome the energy crisis, and nuclear energy is one of the small fraction in our country. So to overcome the manufacturing of the biofuel, or rather to say energy sector, using coal or other biological or material also, this is one of the good option, creating less hazardous waste and more energy. So with this, there are key provisions through the Shanti Act that private sector has already been given permission to act into nuclear energy. Regulatory modernization has already been done. Liability reforms, strategic control, and energy transition. So this will really reduce the fossil fuel dependence and also increase the biomass research and energy harvesting using the biomass. In conclusion, and if we see the future outlook, the economy is going to be circular in nature. Integrating biomass into circular economy that will ensure the waste is converted into valuable resource. Hybrid system, combining biomass with renewable sources like solar, wind or so, and provide more stable and reliable power grids. Green hydrogen, hydrogen energy production, it is another aspect, but it has to be yet developed to the commercial scale. This could be the best option, but still there are several challenges related to green hydrogen production, but one can pay attention where basically biomass gasification can be done. So biological material can be used for that. And strategic research, if we see, future efforts must focus on optimizing third or fourth generation biofuels to achieve cost competitiveness with the fossil fuels. Biological resources for the energy without compromising with the food land also, or agricultural land. So India's national action plan on climate change, because these things are extremely related with each other. So if we see this, we can find out national solar mission, national mission for enhanced energy efficiency, national mission on sustainable habitat, national water mission, national mission for sustaining the Himalayan ecosystem, Green India mission, national mission for sustainable agriculture, national mission on strategic knowledge for climate change. And so overall from 2008 onwards, develop the ecosystem, reduce waste and improve efficiency in the production sector basically, or the development sector of the country, and reduce the carbon emission. And when we go for use of fossil fuels, carbon emission will be very high. So biological materials, if used for the biofuels, if we could bring out newer technologies, newer work, probably that will certainly support national action plan on the climate change. At this juncture, we may say that, oh, I'm the teacher of physics, maybe I'm the teacher of chemistry, I'm the teacher of statistics. never mind. We can reduce the global warming and the carbon footprint basically by doing simple acts like replace the old light bulb into newer one that is LED, drive less and go for carpool, reduce, reuse and recycle, go for the solar energy, buy energy efficient appliances, reduce waste, use less hot water, because hot water I have paid for that, but at large you are paying, it means your country is paying, it means your resources are being lost. You are using the electricity, it means for generation of electricity our country has invested some material like coal, gas or some material, other material to produce that hot water. Avoid products with lot of packaging, that will reduce the carbon footprint. Install programmable thermostat to control the temperature. Turn off the unnecessary lightings or the illuminations. Turn off electronic devices. Plant more trees and get more renewable fuels. Use clean fuel. Look for renewable fuel options. Save energy. Replace filters on the air conditioners and furnace. Simple, very simple, but that will save the electricity. And we have to waste money for generation of that energy. Go green. Tune your vehicles regularly. Follow earth-saving apps and conserve water to reduce the footprints and improve the efficiency. Sun dry your clothes rather than mushing. Eat naturally rather than processed foods. Try using bicycles if possible. Use a kitchen cloth using paper towel, because if somebody is using the paper towel, it means you are wasting that upon use of that. Kitchen towel can be reused several times. Check your tire for air pressure. This is a very simple thing, but if your air pressure in the car is less or the vehicle is less, certainly it will consume more petrol or the diesel, and it will cost more for our country. Get home energy audit done, become aware of your contribution and spread the awareness. Hello?
सोशल मीडिया को बढ़ दिया होता उसे सिर्फ एक ही इंसान को इम्प्रेस करना है.
And finally, we are coming to the end. Here, there are some of the interesting things or the facts I have put it over here. Mandatory appliances produced in financial year from 2018-19 onwards. Look at this. Air conditioners, what we get earlier was star 1, 2, 3 or something like that. Now we can get star 5 also, which is bit expensive but consumes less energy. And there is an increment in the use of such refrigerators. Colored televisions, star 5 television, it means it will consume less energy. Direct cool refrigerators again increase. Frost free refrigerators, it is getting decreased, but stationary type water heater, it is increasing. TFL, tubular fluorescent lamp, it is increasing. LED lamps, it is dramatically increasing. And room air conditioners, variable speeds are there for that conditioner, that is also increasing. At large, this will save our energy. Our energy, it means we can sustain our money for longer period. Ceiling fans, star 5 fans, earlier it was not there, which will consume less energy. Monoset pump, open wall submersible pump set, star 5 grade are increasing, which consume less energy. And with this, I stop by giving the message that we should start working on the biological material as the biofuel material or the fuel or energy source, and also try to reduce the carbon footprint and save the currency of the nation. Thank you very much. Over to the organizers now.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
डाटा लिहिलेला ना त्यानुसार मॅच करतो मग मी ते 90 ते 60 टेस्ट केलं चेंजेस केलं आपल्या डाटानुसार त्या मागणीनुसार हे बी केलंय
Over to organizers, please.
एका पेज मध्ये
Hello, Gaurav.
Anyway, if there is nobody, maybe if anybody is having question, one can pose. I may not be able to answer perhaps, but I will try to answer.
Can I start, sir?
Yeah, please.
Vote of thanks. I think there will be no questions.
No
from
question.
the
No
participants. On the behalf of HRDC, MMTC, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University Center for giving me the opportunity to give an vote of thanks for this precious and important sessions by Dr. Professor Bhushan Choudhary sir. Sir has given very interesting research knowledge on bioresources for renewable energy sources. In these energy resources, for what, why they needed, who will be the consumer for these, percentage of humans on the each earth for the load. That means how much load can make the humans on that biomass. Total biomass movement on land, animals, and birds. Requirement of energy to move from one place to another. The load on the energy, natural resources. The relation of energy movement, energy to the movement. Sir has given very much clear idea on the relation of how energy is required to move from one place to another, and what is the burden on that earth. Comparison of total mass of anthropogenically, how much 14.6 zetajoules of energy required by energy consumed by the human beings on the earth. Global energy consumption in these key activities and consuming energy. In this, sir has given very long and very short ideas regarding the residential and domestic appliances, lighting of electricity, transportation, and moving people from one place to another, industrial and agricultural process. Energy consumption coupled to quality of life and population of growth, how CO2 emissions per capita and per capita energy consumption, how in this sir has given very much broader idea about the how developed countries emits more CO2 and restricts on low developed countries or developing countries to reduce the CO2 emission. There are no energy and rich countries. The world's demand for energy, which continues to grow. And sir has given them very much idea about International Energy Agency, how that controls the production of energy and then from the natural resources. Current status of energy productions from various sources. In these, the sustainable energy resources having solar, hydropower, wind energy, and geothermal biomass. There are bioresources and biomasses, global potential and resource availability, generations of biofuels and its stages. Sir has given very much idea about the thermochemical and conversion of its process from various different types of processes. Global research and economic trends in the relation to India and other countries of the world. Biomass related to sir has given very much broader idea about the publications related to the biomass and types of biomass and its generation from various natural resources. Sir has lastly given an idea about the biomass and biofuels and its generation processes, and it is related to sustainability and considerations how that can be the beneficial for the energy production. Lastly, sir has given overview on the various acts, Shanti Acts, and another India's climate change acts related to our country and respected to other all the world. Lastly, I'm very much thankful to the today's resource person. He has given very much knowledge to us, and I think it will be very informative, sir. And lastly, I have taken this responsibility and uh, given opportunity for giving the opportunity from HRDC Center to give a note of thanks. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.